6.
Would you like to continue?
Yes. We don't have any comments on specific agendas. So is that correct, Cindy? Okay. So we'll move on to the superintendent's update. And we're very excited to share with you that we are collaborating with the Texas Education Agency, with the Texas Department of Emergency Management as well. And they have provided us with 10,000 COVID-19 testing kits. And that's going to help us to be able to test with an antigen test our staff and also our students. The training is online, and I wanted to know what it entailed. So I went ahead and did the training. And after that, I went on the road and started practicing. And of course, I started with some of my very own family members that are our students and asked their parents if they would allow me. Also, we have about a week and a half ago, we did send out to all of our parents an announcement and also an opportunity for them to sign up their children if they would like their children to be tested. If the children go to the nurse's office and they may have symptoms, then we would already have secured permission. So that is very, very helpful. This way, it saves parents time to take them elsewhere, whether it be a pharmacy, a doctor's office, the same thing with our staff. So I did take the training online, and they do give you an exam, and I'd like to report that I did make an A on the first attempt. They do allow you to have multiple attempts, but I wanted to make sure that, we were represented well. And then after that, we went to Ralph Cantu and to Early College High School to go administer the tests. And the kit that is provided from the Texas Department of Emergency Management is the COVID-19 card, and it's called the Binexel Now. And the kit comes with 40 testing strips and with the cotton swabs, and this does not hurt. All you do is insert the cotton swab on each nostril, go around like 5 times, 12 to 15 seconds. And then the little card is self-explanatory. But when you open it up, there is a reactor, and you put into the little card 6 drops. And then you tape it, remove the strip, you tape it. And you would have already put the swab in there, and you wait 15 minutes. And that's it. It's painless. And it comes with all the personal protective equipment, which, you receive in the training. You put on your gown. You put on a N95 mask. And also it comes with face shields and gloves. And gloves. So the kit comes with everything that you're going to need. But even before administering any of the tests, it gives you guidance to do a quality control test. It comes in with a little pouch with a positive swab. Of course, it doesn't have the virus. It's chemically done, because we need to make sure that the kit is validated. So what you do is you open the kit and you run 2 tests, a positive and a negative. And if you get the positive as a positive and the negative as a negative, then the kit is ready to go. Because these kits need to be maintained at room temperature. If they're exposed to extreme heat or extreme cold, then they're not going to be reliable. So every time we're going to start using a kit, we must do a quality control. And so when we went to Ralph Cantu, I was able to test my niece. Of course, her mother had already signed yes. And then we went to Early College High School and we tested my nephew. While we were there, one of our teachers went to the principal and asked, may I leave during my conference to go get tested? And the principal says, come on, we've got a test right here for you. So the teacher came over, we administered the test. The teacher was very happy that the individual did not have to go elsewhere, in this heat and come and go. And it was just 15 minutes and they were very grateful. So we've met with our campus principals this morning. We explained the process and I did two tests, two of our staff members, and we did a demonstration and showed them how easy it is to administer. All of our administrators at the campuses will go through the non-medical training. This is for non-medical personnel. So they'll go through that training, all of our administrators, so that they will be ready to test any other faculty or staff members. Our nurses, on the other hand, of course, they go through the medical training, but they will also be able to administer it to students. Our coaches will go through the training so that they'll be able to also access the kits to be able to administer the test to their students. So we have 10,000. And as a matter of fact, we received a letter. Congratulations. You were like the very first ones to sign up for it. And we knew that other entities out there had been doing this since last year. However, since everything was very, very new, instead last year we opted to go with curative labs because of the fact that everything was very new. Now we are ready to deploy this service to all of our staff and our students. In addition, through telemedicine, our students are able to get also a test, which has been occurring already, especially at secondary. But now it's going to be available to everybody, very easy to use and very reliable. How often? It depends, okay? If a child goes to the nurse and the child is exhibiting symptoms, then the nurses will check and see on the parent portal, have parents given permission? If they haven't, they can still call and say, we have this available. Our staff, if they'd like to have a test, they can come and have the test. Now, there may be some staff members based on the guidance from TEA that if someone in their class has tested positive, they may be required to take a test every other day within the following 10 days or so forth. So this is going to make it very convenient for those staff members.
Dr. Perez, so we got 10,000 kids.
Actually, 10,000
Oh,
tests,
oh, tests, okay,
10,000 tests.
okay. That's
Okay.
40, you said, right?
Yes, okay, there's 40 in each case. So this is very, very good, because we were hearing also that some doctors' offices were running out of PCR tests and so forth. Another thing that our commissioner suggested is, especially like our homebound teachers that go to homes and the children are very fragile or they're immunocompromised, for us to utilize this testing, on an everyday basis, especially because of the children that, have immunocompromised systems. So we're very, very blessed that we already received the treatment late last week. So I was able to do my training last week, and then we're starting this week with all of that. Okay. Next item, COVID-19 booster clinics. Last week, we had a clinic in collaboration with Ms. Garcia, TLC. And last Friday, they were able to administer 88 boosters in the clinic. Now, this coming Friday, we're going to have the clinic in the morning at central office, and then in the PM at Kenneth White Junior High, and it'll be from 4 to 8. And the clinic will be open to staff and family and any community member. And this is the booster shot, the booster vaccine.
Do you have to sign up for it?
No, just, oh,
We could provide staff a link for them to sign up, because we'd like to get a count so they can come prepared. I can share that link with you if you'd like. As far as the community members, right now, we're just publicizing it within the school district, the staff and their immediate family.
yes.
So the students are allowed to get it?
Students, yes, students,
However, the students were the last ones to get their vaccine, so it probably isn't
okay.
time yet for them to get the booster.
Isn't it recommended 8 months?
Yes, most doctors, I know my doctor, wait 8 months, but some, it depends. So it's always good to consult with a physician. Okay? And
This again, well, Friday?
Friday, Kenneth White Junior High from 4 to 8, and Cindy can send that information to our board, okay? And it's a great service to our staff and our family members. So we wanted to make sure that we were able to provide that, and TLC is collaborating with us on that. Also wanted to talk about a Child Nutrition Program Award. Okay, the Child Nutrition team received a plaque and a certificate, this week from the Texas Department of Agriculture for the 2021 Spring Farm Fresh Challenge. And yet one of the things that our child nutrition program aims to do is to try to buy fresh produce that is locally grown and in season, to make sure that our children are exposed to nutritious produce. And so the Texas Department of Agriculture took notice of that and sent us a letter and presented the child nutrition staff with a congratulations, and they're being featured in their newsletter and so forth. And remember that everything that we do and purchase has to be turned over and reported to the Texas Department of Agriculture. That's where they get their information, and that's why they were able to get that recognition as we strive to serve more produce in our cafeterias. So congratulations to the Child Nutrition Program. What I have for today.
Can we have a note that Roy Vela attending the meeting?
Now for Transforming Teaching and Learning Committee, we have Dr. Roberts.
Good evening, Mr. President Zamora, members of the board, Dr. Pettis, members of the audience. I am going to be presenting an annual presentation to the board on the, thank you. I got it right there.
And now it's dressed for better jacket, and now it's.
I love your jacket. It's nice. I had it on clearance last week. Thank you. I will be presenting this evening the House Bill 3 board goals and plans. This is part of a requirement from the 86th legislature from 2 years ago, that every year we need to come and present our plan up until 2024 for attaining certain certain goals for early childhood as well as for CCMR. So first, I'm going to start with, give me 1 second, because this, I'm gonna move out or minimize it. First of all, thank you. First of all, the 60 by 30 by Texas goal means that by 2030, at least 60% of Texans ages 25 to 34 will have a certificate or degree. In alignment with the state 60 by 30 plan, the School Finance Commission recommended establishing a pre-K through 12th grade goal of at least 60% proficiency at TEA's meets standard at 2 key checkpoints along the state's public education pre-K through 12 continuum. So 60% of all students meeting the state's meet standard in 3rd grade reading. And if you'll recall, we do have that 90-60-30 as one of our academic goals. So 90% at the approaches, 60% at the meets, and 30% at the mastery level. By 2024, we need to try to attain this goal. And then for our second part is 60% of all high school seniors graduating without the need for remediation and achieving either an industry-based certification, enrolling in a post-secondary institution, or enrolling in the military. I will tell you, since the 86th legislature, the military has been deleted from the CCMR. And so even this year, they backtracked and decreased and removed that part from our CCMR. Then for our House Bill 3, the school boards are required to adopt plans in early childhood literacy and math and college, career, and military readiness. We still call it college, career, and military readiness, but it's really college and career readiness. The requirements include at least one district-assigned district-level administrator or employee of the Regional Education Service Center for the district's region to coordinate implementation and submit annual reports to the board on the district's progress. And for us, that will be, of course, myself in curriculum and instruction, as well as our coordinators that oversee these, the language arts and mathematics. An annual review by the board at a public meeting, which is occurring this evening. An annual report posted on district and campus websites, and specific quantifiable annual goals for 5 years at each campus. This evening, I'm going to give you the district overview, and then by next week, we will have it posted on our website, and I can bring you a copy if you would like. It's about 180 pages altogether, because it's every campus that has all their data and all their goals. Okay, so the specific and quantifiable goals means that each board outcome needs to have a baseline, which was from 2 years ago, a target for the future, which our target is 2024, a population of students that is impacted, and a deadline by when we hope to attain our goal. Annual targets must be included for each goal in addition to the 5-year deadline target. It's recommended that school boards adopt progress measures to create alignment between district outcome goals and the board adopted plans, and we have those available that I'll be going over this evening. Early childhood plans need to include annual goals for aggregate student growth on 3rd grade reading and math, but annual targets for students in each group evaluated under the Closing the Gaps. And if you recall, Closing the Gaps is also part of our STAR accountability, which is our special populations, our economically disadvantaged, our different ethnicities. Mainly we have Hispanic and a few white children, and we have very few, if any, Pacific Islanders, different populations that we do not have in our district. But it's also about our ELs and our special ed population under Closing the Gaps. That is also addressed in our early literacy plan. Targeted professional development for classroom teachers in kinder through 3rd grade for campuses that the board identifies as not meeting the plan's goals and that considers the unique needs of students in bilingual or special language programs. Annual targets that may be set for students in bilingual and or ESL programs. ESL is one of our big focuses this year. From 2018-19, we started a couple of years ago, and these were the reading instruments and math instruments we were using. In pre-K, we used Circle, and in kindergarten, we were preparing our own type of district tests. Now we have moved now to standardized assessments. We did that 2 years ago. In kinder, 1st and 2nd. And then, of course, in 3rd grade, it's a measurement of STAR. Now, again, here in 2021, these are the assessments that we use. And we're really proud that we've moved to these assessments. One, the state required it, but it's also very standardized. So we know that standard that we need to attain rather than developing our own standards. So in pre-K, it's circle, reading diagnostic and math diagnostic. In kinder, first and second grade, we use M-class dibbles in English and idle in Spanish. And then for math, we use the Imagine Math, which the board approved the last board meeting for us to use Imagine Math, and that is what we use for our quantile framework to measure student progress. And of course, in third grade, we use the STAR. These are our STAR proficiency projections. You'll notice that this year, I know that our goal is 90, 60, 30. After this, with the board approval, I am going to present the data that we have received as far as 2021 accountability. And our goal is 90, 60, 30. It's going to take us a little bit of time to get there. And when I talk about 60, that is at the meets level. So if you see in third grade reading, we're hoping and projecting by campus to get to 40. And I know that doesn't seem like a very big realistic goal, but it kind of is, because what we've seen is that we do have learning loss. And that's what all the intervention programs and House Bill 4545 is there to address, helping us to address that learning loss. And so in 2023, we want to be at 42% in reading, and in 2024, 45%. Again, our goal is actually 60%, but we want to be realistic. And then in math, right now, in 2022, this year, we're planning on 49%, projecting 51% the following year, and 53% by 2024. And what we do is every year we look at the data, and then if we're doing better than we think, better than we expect, we're going to bump that up. We're not going to just say, oh, well, we reached our goal and we're going to stop. We never stop. We always strive to go to the next level. Excuse me, in early childhood literacy and math proficiency, and by the way, you do have this PowerPoint in one of the folders. Thank you. Okay. Our first outcome, our first goal is in reading. So the percent of third graders that score meets grade level or above on STAR reading will increase from 23%, that was in 2021, that was the data that we just received, okay, to 45% by June of 2024. And then, so we have different goals for pre-K. The E stands for English, so pre-K English, we want to go from 70 to 76% by June of 2024. In Spanish, we want to go from 57% to 63%. First grade, we want to move from 35% to 41%. I mean, I'm sorry, that's kindergarten. And then in kinder Spanish, 29 to 35%. You can kind of notice right away that pre-K seems to do pretty well, and then we get to kinder, and our data starts regressing a little bit. At the end, there is a plan for that, though. And then for 1.3, our third goal under reading is for first grade to move from 50 to 58%. In English, 48% to 56% in Spanish, and from 51% to 59% in second grade, and 57 to 65% in Spanish second grade. And of course, this is a different measure. We're using the M-class, the dibbles and the idle, to help us to attain the STAR. Then the next group that you have, you're going to have a couple of charts there, and I'm not going to read everything here, but it will show you, the first one will show you the goal that I just mentioned about needing, getting to the 45% by 2024 for third grade STAR reading. And you can see the subpopulations here that we are tracking. They're the same ones that are tracked on closing the gaps with domain 3 on STAR accountability. The next one is our second measure. These are the ones I just read to y'all, you know, the different ones by pre-K English and Spanish, kinder English and Spanish, first grade English and Spanish, and second grade English and Spanish. So I don't know if you want me to go over each one, but you can see what the goals are that we've set. And then each campus, this is the district level goal. So the reason that when we put together the little booklet, it'll have 180 pages because each campus has but for their specific campus, the same goals that we have as a district. Are there any questions on the reading literacy? Okay, then I'm going to move into the math. And the early childhood mathematics, our goal is that by third grade in 2024 will move from 10% 19 year, 2021 to 53%. So we do have a lofty goal in math. We're still trying to attain that 60%. But again, in pre-K, we want to move from 76 to 80% in mathematics. In kindergarten, from 83 to 87. in first grade from 81 to 85, second grade from 83 to 87%. Again, these are the district charts. Each one of these is one of the goals and the progress measures that we're looking at. And each campus will have theirs again as well. And so what are we going to do to address this? Just for you, if y'all will recall last year, a lot of us went through what we call the reading academies, including Dr. Pettis, our executive leadership team. It was quite interesting and quite a lot of work, but we all made it through. We all got our certificate for completing the reading academies, as did all of our teachers in early childhood, pre-K, from kinder, first, second, and third. They all had to go through the reading academies, and most all finished. We had a few that, of course, left the district, and I was always in constant communication with Region 1. So we had almost 275 teachers that went through, teachers and administrators that went through the reading academies. And I think that really helped everybody a lot to go back and refocus on what the very foundational reading skills are. And it really helped us all, because if you've been teaching for so many years and you should be teaching phonics and fluency and everything, but you kind of get into your group and you have to go back and revisit some of the importance of those things. So I think that really helped us. Having dual language academies for our dual language program in elementary. Our third through eighth grade teachers and high school teachers, we're going into our second cohort with the Abidos training. And this is a literacy training that we're very blessed to have in our district, that we have a consultant that comes in and trains our teachers. And it's from third all the way to high school. And then, of course, with the board had approved our Achieve 3000, so we use Smarty Ants and Achieve 3000 as well to close the gaps. Mathematics, we use Debbie Wells and also Sharon Wells, and as well as Imagine Mathematics. And now the state last year came out with something called ST Mathematics to help close the gaps, so we incorporated that as well. For reading and math for both areas, we do work a lot with Region 1. They do provide a lot of professional development for us. We have our interventionists. Thank you very much for that. And we really do have plans for our interventionists. We are closely monitoring our interventionist literacy and mathematics. We have small group tutoring that we're looking at with House Bill 4545. We have specialized targeted support for math and ELA, SLAR content coordinators. They've been out visiting the campuses, and that was one of the things that we talked about this year, that even though sometimes they may have to stand at the door just because some principals don't want them going into the classroom for very long because of, the situation we're in, they've been visiting the campuses and seeing how they can be support, all of our coordinators and our literacy coaches. And so we have also our central office literacy coaches. Are there any questions on the early literacy plan, early childhood literacy? Okay, I'm going to move on into college, career, and military readiness. This is our high schools, our 3 high schools. And so our annual goals for aggregate student growth on CCMR readiness indicators are evaluated under the student achievement domain. And even though we did not have accountability, and I will go over that shortly, with your permission, we did not get a rating, but CCMR would have helped us to at least have, I'm going to say we would have probably passed, because CCMR and graduation rate were pretty good in our district. Our annual targets for student in each group are evaluated under closing the gaps domain. Again, I was very pleased too when I saw data that we've been struggling with our ELs, with graduation rate, and they went up to almost 89%, which is really good. I mean, we're very proud of that. Our board outcome goals for CCMR. In 2018, we were at a 75.4%, and we want to be at a 96%. Actually, really, we want to be at a 98% by 2024. It looks like for this year, according to our data, we will hit 96% for the class of 2021. Wonderful. CCMR and graduation rate are lagging data, so the data is from the class of 2020. So our 3 measures, and in CCMR, there's like 10 categories that children can get their CCMR point. We looked at the areas that we really felt would have the most impact on our children. And so one of those is our TSI. And so our campuses do assess our children on TSI, but we've been at, you have a question?
Can you explain what TSI is?
TSI is okay, when you go to college, of course, you have your SAT and ACT. Those are college acceptance exams, right? Well, they used to be. Now with the COVID, they kind of looked at other things as well. But TSI is your college placement exam. So you have to score high enough to be able to go into college classes. Otherwise, you go into remedial classes and pay.
And the acronym stands for?
I'm sorry,
And the acronym stands for?
Texas Success Initiative Assessment.
So when a student passes that, they get credit, correct?
They don't get credit, but they can go into college classes.
Okay.
But the district gets credit.
The district gets credit. So if they pass, like, and if you notice, in this area, they have to pass both reading and math.
Right.
The ELA and the math. And so in 2018, we only had 31.6% of our children going into getting the credit through TSIA. Now, we have a lot of students that get dual enrollment credit hours because there are certain courses that they just have to take the TSI, but they don't have to get a certain score. Or they can get, the children that go into dual English 3 or English 4, or college algebra, college pre-cal, we go all the way up to college calculus 3 in our engineering classes. But those children, of course, will get their CCMR point through the dual. And so TSI, though, is the first step. That's why in this year, when we were working on our curriculum in the summer, our coordinators did embed into our curriculum that TSI prep. And with Imagine Learning as well, the program that we purchased district-wide, our high school students can prep for ACT, SAT, and TSI on that. So our first goal district-wide with all three of our high schools is to increase our TSI. The second goal is based upon dual enrollment. For a student to be able to earn the point in dual enrollment, they have to get 3 hours of English dual, or 3 hours of math dual, or 9 hours of any other dual. So for example, if they're in a CTE, Career and Technical Education course, if they get 9 hours, they would get the CCMR point on the dual, but we really want to increase that as well. And then, of course, our big area is industry-based certifications, which I'm very pleased that we've been offering more and more. And so at the end of the day, we have been offering security level 2, which is an industry-based certification recognized by the state. And so that has been a real winner for a lot of our students that have not been able to get the CCMR point in other areas. But this past year, actually, Mr. Flores brought up about the Microsoft Office.
Yeah.
And so that is one area that we've really been targeting as well. And so Mr. Sergio Peña, our CTE director, has been targeting that. So more of our kids are getting certified in the Microsoft Office areas.
And the impact of District of Innovation?
Yes, sir. Oh, yes, ma'am. The District of Innovation has had a huge impact on that because with the District of Innovation, you know, we can hire teachers that are qualified to teach, but they may not have had the educational background, but they've had the experience in the field.
Because if we have a substitute,
Yes,
our children cannot earn
exactly.
the certifications.
They have to be a teacher of record in the classroom for them to earn that certification. And the other thing that's happening is our CTE director has been offering and providing more and more practice for the test. A couple of years ago, we were just, you know, the kids would go and test without very much practice. But now, every day I'm seeing software agreements come through for more and more practice for these industry-based certifications. So our goal is to go from 15.6 in 2018 up to 50%. And then again, this is our district, these are our district goals, and the numbers in red, because before when I presented to the board, we did not have the actual taper report for 2019, and then the 2020, I just received, we received that report on Friday. So I updated, and on Friday, we only received general, we did not receive special population, so that's why you'll see not applicable, or no data available.
But only what, 65% of the students tested? So the numbers represented for last
Okay, but CCMR was all of the senior class of the class of 2020.
years ago. Okay.
And we hit 84% as a district on that.
I'm looking at everything, but like, my question is, I'd like to see numbers. How many tested, how many?
Okay, numbers of students, okay.
So we're,
Yes.
has to break it up as to, because it gives me percentage, but it could be 1, it could be 10, it could be, you know.
We just, I mean, according
You
to,
don't have to go through it, but
no, but I have it here. We put percentages.
because I was looking over here on the early childhood, you had 760 scored, you know, out of the tier 1. That, well, to me, I don't know about the rest, but, you know,
Are you looking at the early childhood? Yes,
I was looking at the career over here too, because it only gives us percentages, you know, and not the number.
actual tests.
how many tested, how many did not.
And we can add that, we certainly do have that data. Like last year on STAR itself, what Dr. Pettis was just mentioning, only 65%, they had to come into the campus to test, and only 65% of our students came in to test.
And this template is what the state gave us. So we're utilizing the template that the state gave us, but we can go back and add numbers.
CCMR I'm gonna review that with your permission, with the accountability data real quickly after I finish the CCMR. But the CCMR, on the accountability data, we had 874 students out of 1,046 that met for the class of 2020. So it was 84%.
That makes me like, wow.
That makes it real relevant.
Exactly.
65, you know,
Right,
Yes, yes.
that's absolutely.
because I don't know,
More concrete.
I always like seeing,
you know, because now I can see,
And
see a better picture as to where we really are.
how many students,
I don't know how about you all feel, but,
but
when I was,
but you know, I'd rather.
it put
the number,
perspective.
the number of students that makes a difference.
When I used to oversee advanced academics and AP testing, the same thing would happen, you know, like you could have one student taking, you know, at the time, we have more students taking computer science now, but at the time, there would be very few students taking computer science. So you may have one taking it and they have 100%, you know, and then so you say, oh, we had 100% passing our AP exams. There's only one student. So I'd always say, no, I want to see the numbers, you know, I understand. So you have to put it into that perspective. Thank you for bringing that up. And then, so this is our overall district data. And if you notice in 2024, we're planning to hit the 96. I do think that we're going to hit it this year, but I don't want to say that yet. But what we have on our poll system where we're tracking data is showing us at 96% right now for the class of 2021. And then, so now I have Mission High School, so you can see each one of them, each campus went back and reviewed their data and increased it because we had already hit our target.
And it took a lot of progress monitoring and a lot of meetings with campus principals, counselors, administrators, assessment strategists. I mean, the last couple of years, it's been a lot of.
Especially in the military area or?
Yeah, well, for college and career.
Yes.
Military's gonna be going away.
Yes, the military and the coherent sequence is no longer applicable,
Okay, so it's not going.
no longer. But we stopped counting that about 2 years ago, when we knew that it was probably not going to be counting anymore. We started saying, okay, we're not going to rely on that. We're going to go ahead and move over to,
Because at one time we were low.
yes.
Yes, yes.
And so here, again, we have the data. I know Collegiate was a little disappointed because when their data came out, they had a 98 instead of 100% on their CCMR. And Ms. Royce tells me, Dr. Roberts, I know exactly who those students were. And I know and she said they really got their CCMR point, but it may have been after the date that
Yes.
the state would accept it. So she said, don't worry, we'll be back to the 100%. I said, okay. And so, and then these are the three targets that we had. You know, the first one's on ELA and math, TSI. So you can see that our targets are a little bit lower, of course, but that's only one because they can get a CCMR point in any of the 9 areas. And then with the progress measure 2, this was on the dual enrollment, and we're still striving to hit the 50%. And then progress measure 3 on the industry-based certifications. I feel very confident that we're going to hit this probably within the next year. That is one area that I did when I was speaking with Ms. Flores from Mission Collegiate. She said, don't worry, Dr. Robert, because they're like around 15% on IBCs, but because all of their kids strive to get that associate, so they're already getting their CCMR in another way. But like we talked and she said, you know, but it won't hurt my kids to get certifications. I'm here like, yes, that's right. And so she's going to also pursue that as well. So, okay. In CCMR, the things that we do to try to address this is we have ongoing professional development on college career. And I still have military readiness because the state has not officially let us drop it. Professional development for teachers and administrators and TSIA. We started, last year, we started having more students go into on-ramps. On-ramps is also a dual enrollment program through UT Austin, so the students do not have to get the score on TSI. Any student that wants to take on the challenge can go into on-ramps, but it is rigorous. And so we have more courses now with that. Of course, we're going to continue with IBCs. We do have monthly meetings. It's usually the third Thursday of the month with the campuses to check their data on CCMR, graduation rate, credits, things like that. And our campuses do present, whenever they present their improvement plans, which will be coming up in October, and this will be part of their plans. And we continue advocating for additional certification. Are there any questions on board goals? Okay. I have one, with your permission, I would just like to quickly go over the data for the accountability. Like I said, the 2021, we're not getting rated, but that data did come in on Friday, and then actually we were able to download all of it on Monday. And so, Mr. President, is it okay if I go ahead and present that? I know it's not on the agenda, so.
But we wanted to ask your permission to present since we just received the information and we all have been waiting for it.
No, that's not one. It was the other. The one that I just had, this, yeah, that one. Thank you. Okay, so just for you to know, on the accountability, the GLOWs, you know, we do have 86.4% of our students economically disadvantaged, and that's important because usually where we get our accountability rating is usually what we call domain 2B, which is relative performance, and that is based upon our economically disadvantaged population. Other good things that you know, we have to be positive, and from capturing kids' hearts, we always want to have our GLOWs first. And so we had a 65% participation rate.
And one of the things in terms of 86.4,
Yes.
because 3 years ago, we were at 82% of this. And we knew there was a lot more students that were economically disadvantaged. However, the forms were not being submitted or completed. So our staff has done a tremendous job because this 86.4% means more funding for our programming and more opportunities for scholarships and grants. So that's huge. You know, even though it may be 4.4, that's still huge. And it also has an impact on accountability.
A big impact on accountability. Out of our 21 campuses, usually 20 of the 21 rely on that relative performance as 70% of their accountability measure, which is directly related to your economically disadvantaged population. And I know our goals are 90% at the approaches, 60% at the meets, and 30% at the mastery level. This past year, we hit 49% of those 65% that came into test, 49% were at their approaches level. So we know we have lots of work to do, and 24% were at the meets level or above. And 84% again on CCMR, which I just went over. And then we had a 96% graduation rate. And I do think that's awesome because that is from the class of 2020. And if y'all recall, in March, when we went into school closure, and yet those kids continued on to get their credits to be able to graduate. It's been our highest graduation rate. So I'm a little bit worried about this past year, class of 2021, because once you hit that, you have to continue growing. So we have to hit like a 96.1 this year. So some differences that you'll see on the 2021 accountability. Of course, this year there is no A to F ratings. They're not even giving us scale scores. So we can't directly measure how we did compared to previous years. They're only giving us raw scores. All districts are labeled not rated, declared state of disaster. School progress part A is not rated. Closing the gaps, academic growth, anything with growth, because of the previous year, we did not have STAR testing, we have no calculation. The coherent sequence for CT and military enlistment are excluded from CCMR. We are using the federal graduation rate methodology for closing the gaps, and accelerated testers are included. Accelerated testers are those students that were in junior high that may have taken Algebra 1, and so when they go to high school, they don't have a math assessment. So now participation on ACT or SAT and math counts toward that. That's what an accelerated tester is. So these are our scores, or these are what we received back. Our student performance was at a 27, and I have another slide that you can see a little history, and you do also have this presentation in your packet. Our military readiness, college and career readiness was 84, graduation rate 96. Academic achievement status under closing the gaps was only 6%. We did not, as a district, hit our English proficiency standard that we needed to hit, but we have a plan for that. And school quality, we're at 100%, and participation was 65%. Over here on the other side, the calculation report, you can see the total number of assessments that were taken between reading, math, writing, science and social studies, and this, and the same data that I just mentioned, 49% at approaches, 24% at, at NEECs, and 7% at mastery. And so this just, the next slide just shows you how we derive our accountability from elementary and junior high. It's really, I went backwards, sorry, wrong way. The elementary and junior high, it is through the STAR testing only. And then when you go into high school, it's of course STAR, graduation rate, and CCMR. And then for school progress, all students, elementary, middle school, and high school, Part A is not calculated. And of course, I highlighted Part B because this is where we get the majority of our accountability if we were going to get a letter grade. In our closing the gaps in elementary and middle schools on academic achievement, all the data is disaggregated by that. We do get a closing the gaps report. And so you have the data that the state would like to see. And that's the measure that they hold us accountable for. Our academic growth, our English language proficiency on TELPUS, only a few of our campuses were able to reach that. And high school, kind of the same thing. And the middle part right here shows you the update for 2021 and graduation rate. Once you hit a certain target, you have to increase by 1/10%. So we can't go backwards, always going forward. And of course, our EL proficiency and our college and career readiness. You had this chart, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I'm just in case you want to see. These are only raw scores, not scale scores. But you can see that, say, for example, Mission CISD in 2018, we had a 46, 2019, a 47, and then we had a year without testing, and then where we were this year at 27. So across here is by campus, district and campus for achievement, relative performance, closing the gaps. And then the next slide is on the CCMR. Okay, sorry. And then the same thing. And then these are just all tests, again, the 49, 24, and 7% for all tests in the subpopulations. This shows you where it's measured and how we get rated by all subpopulations. And then I have it for language arts and reading, for math, for writing. There will no longer be a writing test. So 4th and 7th grade will no longer take writing. It will be combined starting this year. And then next year we go into STAR redesign where it's 75% of the test is multiple choice, but 25% is drag and drop, fill in the blank, different ways that the kids have to know the answers. We have science and we have social studies, and this is all the composite. And do you have any?
What are they gonna do with the writing?
It's going to be combined, just like the English language arts, English 1 and English 2. It's going to be embedded into language arts. So we have our, as part of our Mission CISD instructional framework, mission rights is still a real big key to that. So every teacher submits 3 samples every grading period. So it's called mission rights, and whether it's language arts or science or it's fine arts or it's PE, everybody submits writing.
Writing, you have.
Yes.
So are there any questions? And this is just a real quick glimpse because of course, and once the taper report comes out, then I'll have to come and do a much longer presentation on the taper that's required by the state.
Thank you, Dr. Roberts.
Thank you, Dr. Roberts.
Sure. And items for discussion, Dr. Roberts?
That's discussion.
So for items for discussion, Dr. Roberts has help us practice a K-12 digital learning software, Boys and Girls Club Memorandum of Understanding.
Thank you.
First reading and adoption of changes to board policy, EIC. That's right.
Thank you, Dr. Pettis. Yes, our first request bringing forward is the purchase of TELPUS practice software. If you notice, I just mentioned that a lot of our campuses do not get that EL measure. And we've been using Summit K through 12, which has been successful. And it does address listening, reading, writing, and speaking. And so all campuses like that, and they use it, that we had to go out for solicitation again this year. So we went out for solicitation. We had 2 vendors that submitted, and we would like the approval to proceed with Summit K through 12.
And 2 years ago, we only used the program for like 3 months.
Yes,
And we saw a huge increase in academic achievement with our ESL population.
yes, we did.
And of course, last year with the virtual, the research, and TA had already told us, that was going to bring about a lot of learning losses, which are very evident throughout the state and throughout the nation.
And we have about 5,000, about 1/3 of our children in our district are EL, so that's who we are looking at using it. And the teachers love it. The kids record themselves, they can hear themselves and things like that, so they can hear, listen, speak, read, and write. So that one is $119,250 that we would like to put on consent agenda, if you're okay with that for next time. Excuse me,
TELPA's practice is for all
for all ELs.
ELs, 36%,
Yes, about 36.
about a third of our students will be utilizing the program.
Okay, our next item that we have that we are bringing before the board for discussion and approval is our digital pre-K through 12 digital learning software. As you will recall, last year, the board did approve for us to go ahead and proceed with Nearpod. And so we had to go out for solicitation again this year. And the committee, there were 3 vendors, and the committee, even though there's a big price difference, the Nearpod has been embedded, the teachers love it, we have good usage on it. We have about 700 of our teachers that consistently use it. And that is an interactive for whenever they're doing virtual learning, or even in class, the kids can use it, they can do discussions and things, and it has lessons, and so we're bringing that back for approval, and that one is at $108,000 this year. It also has a CTE component and an EL component that we would like to purchase with that. Are there any questions on the digital software? Okay, our next item that we're bringing before the board this evening is the approval of the agreement for the Boys and Girls Club Mission Activities Program. This is for our children in elementary up to 6th grade, actually, for them to be able to participate in tournaments and things. We have a partnership with the Mission Boys and Girls Club, and pandemic permitting, they would like to have their tournaments, and we have an agreement with the Boys and Girls Club that is still under legal review. We did receive some changes back today, and so we're still working on that agreement, but we should have it back by next week. And this is something we've had in place for a couple of years. Last year, of course, we were not able to participate. Are there any questions on that? My last item is, last month, I brought before the board that we needed to do some changes on the pre-AP name for our courses, not the weights, not anything else, but pre-AP is now owned by College Board, and they said we can no longer use that unless we're using their curriculum. They only have about 8 courses that they offer the curriculum for. So we still have courses that we offer that we've called pre-AP for many years, so we wanted to change those courses, just the name, to honors. But, and y'all had approved us to do that name change. Now we need to change it in board policy. So that, Mr. Burley, I don't know if you have anything to add, but that is what the first reading and adoption of changes to board policy EIC local. And that is just to add the honors. Mr. Burley? Have any-
Explained it well. I have nothing to add.
Rob, okay. Thank you, Dr.
Dr. Roberts.
Thank you.
This is our section of,
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, Facilities and Environment Committee, Mr. Rivera.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Sabota, President, members of the board, Dr. Pettis, Lieutenant, members of the audience. The first agenda I have is administration's rankings and enter into negotiations in the order of ranking for the professional design services for the architect engineering testing services for various district projects. These were 5 projects that exceeded the threshold cost limit on recommending and utilizing this district on-call services. Advertisements in the local newspapers were posted on August 12, 2021 and August 19, 2021. The process is for the submittals to be reviewed by the purchasing department staff and administration ranking team, and to assure that firms meet the criteria based on demonstrated expertise, competence, and qualifications. This was conducted yesterday. The projects that we reviewed were the elementary playgrounds, the synthetic turf for the Mission High School and Veterans Memorial High School baseball and softball fields, the indoor air quality project, Mission Collegiate High School Pavilion, and the former CTE project. We will present at next week's regular board meeting of trustees, administration's rankings, and approval to enter into negotiations. Before you at your desk, you should have the rankings for your review for next week's agenda items. Again, we reviewed architects and engineers' professional services for each project, plus the geotechnical and testing firms for each of these projects. And the rankings are there before you. And we will present those at next week's meeting. The next project agenda item we have is administration's rankings and enter into negotiations in the order of ranking for general construction services job order contracting. Job order contracting is a unique indefinite delivery and quantity procurement method that helps facility owners complete a large number of repairs, maintenance, renovation, and straightforward new construction projects with a single competitively awarded contract. Unlike traditional bidding, where each project is identified, designed, and then put out to bid, job order contracting establishes competitively bid prices upfront and eliminates the need to separately bid each project. It is an easy and expedited construction sourcing option. Job order contracting can be used for the services of electrical, steam feeding, pipe fitting and plumbing, structural steel, sheet metal, welding, masonry, asphalt repair, general carpentry, drywall installation, carpeting, flooring, drywall finishing, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, electrical and mechanical, doors, windows, louvers, hardware, and glazing, painting of various services, earthwork, excavation, exterior improvement, flex and rigid paving, landscaping, demolition, asbestos abatement, hazardous material handling, mold, water damage, moving of portables, roofing of different types, and telecommunications cabling services. This job order contract service will be used on services for construction projects up to the $500,000 total construction cost. Any services above this threshold will be brought forward to the Board of Trustees for consideration and approval. All projects that utilize job order contracts will be presented to the committee as informational items. Advertisements in the local newspapers were posted on August 12th and August 19th. And these were reviewed by administration and the purchasing department yesterday. And we had 4 submittals, and they are there again for your review before you. And they have been ranked, and we'll present these again for discussion and possible action and approval next week. The next agenda item we have is the best and final offer and to enter into contract for the Lee Fieldhouse roofing project. We entered into negotiations with Rio Roofing, and we have Mr. Michael Hovar from Robert Kistner here present if there's any questions. Administration and his recommendations are for alternate number 2 and alternate number 3 and the contingency allowance. Alternate number 2 is for $416,000 in 180 days, and the alternate number 3 is for $11,000, an additional 30 days and a contingency of $20,000 for a total estimated cost of $447,000. Alternate number 2, this is the highest performing of the roof systems proposed, and that is what Robert Kistner and administration recommends. The alternate number 3 includes installing concrete flat work over the grass, dirt, weedy area on the southeast side of Lee Fieldhouse adjacent to the restrooms. This is being added to reduce maintenance, improve access, and improve drainage along the corner of that building. And the contingency is just in case we need something that's unforeseen, that's for $20,000. Administration presents the best and final offer. Is there any questions for Mr. Hovar or Robert Kistner on this project? No? Okay. Mr. Hovar, thank you very much, and you may be excused, or you can stay for the rest. Thank you. The next project is the project and proposed budget and utilizing the on-call professional services for the scoreboard installation at Arcantu Junior High. The scoreboard has already been purchased and installation is now required. We did an assessment and we used the on-call structural engineering, a firm of Chanin, and his estimated cost is for $30,000. Again, this is just an estimated cost. Now administration presents the project and the budget and to utilize Chanine Structural Engineering to proceed on designing and installing this scoreboard at Ralph Country Junior High. Administration will present this at next week's regular Board of Trustees meeting.
Had we had other scoreboards installed before this one?
The last ones that we installed were the baseball at Veterans Memorial High School, and that was quite a few years ago. That was probably 5 years ago. Other than, of course, the Tom Landry Stadium large scoreboard.
That's it.
And Ralph Cantu and especially K White Junior High are in dire need of scoreboards.
No prende,
Yes.
No horn, no nothing, no lights, no nothing.
anything.
According to, we had a meeting with Coach Ibarra this afternoon, and they worked on it, and they seem to be working temporarily on those.
But for this one, we already have a scoreboard, it's just to work?
They have purchased a scoreboard at Ralph Cantu, and all we need to do is install it. But of course, we have to follow all codes and construction guidelines, where we need an engineer, we have to have the structures because of the wind load and such. That's why we need an engineer. Yes. The next is, again, project and proposed budget and utilizing the on-call professional services for the scoreboard installation at Cape White Junior High. Again, there was an assessment conducted by Miguel Chanine Structural Engineering, and an estimated construction cost of $40,500. Again, this is with contingency and his service. Administration will be presenting at next week's regular Board of Trustees meeting, this project and proposed budget.
They don't have the scoreboard?
This one, I believe it's a turnkey, it's to purchase and install. That's what I understand, for this one here.
Yeah, because it's $10,000.
It's very old.
Yes.
It can't be fixed, these are obsolete.
I'm just questioning because the other one was 30 just for installation. I'm questioning if they were gonna buy a new one or they had one.
What I understand is, this would be, procurement is a turnkey, which includes the board and installation. And again, there are some, for the assessment, there's some things that possibly our maintenance department can do, some of the electrical. However, once we get to that point, we'll assess whether maintenance is able to do some of that work. One concern that we do have is if there's extensive trenching that has to go across the field, we have water sprinklers there. And then if maintenance cuts through all of them, we're responsible to repair them. While if we have a contractor do that, they will be liable to conduct all the repairs. That's our concern, all the sprinklers that are in the fields. The next project, agenda item is project and proposed budget and utilizing the on-call professional services for the K White Junior High Power Distribution and Transformer Switchgear Repair Project. Last year, while the maintenance department, electric department was doing some repairs, they noticed that some of the switchgear was in dire need for replacement. And we had an assessment done by DBR, MEP engineers, and now we're bringing forward the proposed budget and utilizing DBR, MEP on making this repair at K White Junior High. We will be bringing this forward at next week's regular Board of Trustees meeting. The next item we have is a change order for 33 delayed days for the security entrances for Alton Memorial Junior High, Cape White Junior High, Pearson Elementary, and Roosevelt Alternative. We have Mr. Eddie Vela from EGV Architects to present this change order. Mr. Vela?
Thank you, Mr. I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Rivera. Good evening. On this particular project, it's an ongoing project, but as you might already have heard on other projects, there's delay of materials. And that's exactly what's happening on this particular project. There's a slight delay on some of the pieces of equipment for the storefront doors and the contractor requested 33 additional days. If they don't need them, then they finish before that, great, but they are requesting the 33 days. We agree with it because we see this across the board, not only on this project, but several other projects. It's been happening all over the place for delays. So we, instead of arguing, we said, go ahead and grant them the 33 days. They will be installing what we call the storefront. It'll be similar to what you see with the open doors. They will not install the doors. Once the other pieces of equipment come in, they will be installing those. And they will keep us posted and we'll provide future reports on that. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Vella.
Thank you, Mr. Vella.
Thank you, Mr. Vella. Administration will be presenting this at next week's regular Board of Trustees meeting. Again, Mr. Vella, thank you, and you may be excused or stay. Thank you. The next item we have is change order number 2 for 8 delayed days for the central office chiller replacement project. Mr. Hugo Avila from DBR MEP is here to present these next couple of items. Mr. Avila? Again, in previous years, we've always had administration present change orders for the projects. However, we're changing that format where it's the responsibility of the professional services to present change orders to the board and not administration. That way, it doesn't seem like we're the ones doing it, recommending it. It's our professional services. That's why we're changing this format.
Good idea.
And really, because of the fact that they will be here and will be able to give you all the details.
Right.
And we know these are unprecedented times, and so we want you to hear it from them.
Good evening, everybody. Good to see everybody again. So this change order is sort of just in case, on this particular project, we know the chiller is already installed. So this change order is just in case, we do need to add some more days to the contract. That's what it is. There is no cost associated with it other than just the time extension. Okay.
Okay.
Do you have any specific questions?
No.
Okay.
I'll stick around, give it a go.
A couple more. We have also the substantial completion for the central office chiller replacement project. Mr. Avila, anything to say on that one and the next few?
Right, so the substantial completion for the central office, again, the chiller has been installed. Contractors working through the last few items that they still need to finish. They still have 30 days after substantial completion to do that. So this, again, we're pretty much practically there with this one. So and also the substantial completion sets your warranty period. And if you remember, we did extend this one with a change order, again, very similar to this, to get us there. Similar to what Mr. Vella was saying, we had some delays. And then the next change order, if I may, is for the child nutrition. This chiller, again, has already been installed. So this substantial completion, again, gets us to where the chiller is running. Again, they're still finishing up some items, tagging, installation, and things like that. So as of right now, we're good.
Very good. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Other questions? All right, may I be excused? Just kidding.
Thank you very much. Okay. The next agenda item we have is a report from Hinojosa Structural Engineering, that's Rick Hinojosa, on the Mission High School, Tom Landry Stadium repairs. We have Mr. Albert Trevino to give us an update.
Good afternoon, members of the board.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon. Mission CISD, Tom Landry Stadium, they have started the construction. And for right now, 3 items they have completed or under process. And this is just the construction needs and methods. They have done some saw cutting around the piers that they need to correct. They started shoring, which means holding the bleachers up for them to do that job. And as of today, 17 piers under the home site bleachers have their concrete removed, or the concrete that needed to be removed. And they should be continuing installing the steel around those piers. And that's as far as they have done to today.
Will you be able to bring pictures for next board meeting?
Yes, we do. We are documenting every day with photographs. And I know, did they get these pictures?
Yes, it's downloaded online.
Oh, okay, you already have them? Yeah, because we received them, that's why I want to make sure.
Yeah, they're here.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Mr. Trevino, you said you've exposed 17?
17, correct.
What have you found?
That was gonna be my question.
On the 17 that
That wasn't too good.
No, that's why it's not,
had
but
been exposed, the reinforcement was not placed per the original contract documents at that time. So we did photograph, we are taking photographs and documenting before the concrete is completely removed of where each reinforcement is located at, presently.
So what you found confirms what the GPR scans indicated, the forensic ground penetrating radar scans?
They do, as you know, but not precisely, but they do, that there's some reinforcements that are not in place. Now, again, the GPR has a little bit of tolerances, but an inch or two, but they're within the range, and wherever there was no reinforcement, there's no reinforcement out there.
In your, excuse me, in your professional opinion, have you seen any of this before?
We have seen this before in light poles. I know the school district had about 18 light poles that fell because the reinforcement was not up to par where the ankle rods are. And to the fact of uplift, it overturned and broke the concrete.
How about the concrete?
We're not testing the concrete that's,
Not testing it all, but it was tested, Rick?
Yes, ma'am.
we're just, since the reinforcement not there,
Eventually it would fall.
correct, in the concrete is strong in compression when you press on it, but it's very weak when you pull on it. And when the anchor rods will pull on it, that's when it will break, since the reinforcement is not there at the correct location.
for work. Good. That's all it was.
Now, does that include the parking area as well?
Yeah.
Right now, we're just looking at the pier.
I know.
Concentrate on the,
Is that something that we have to look at too?
We'll be reporting to Mr. Rivera any findings that we find during the construction.
that's another story.
So basically, the x-rays, what you're saying is that if I'm not mistaken, there were some x-rays that were taken of the pillars and there was no rebar, correct? And so basically, that's confirming that.
Yes, it's confirming that where reinforcement was lacking, it is lacking.
And are we on track to, as far as timeline?
I believe we are in track. We need to sit down with the contractor to get the updated schedule of construction for them. But they're going, in my opinion, a little fast pace, to get this thing done.
Good. We just want it done correctly.
Yes, and that is definitely what we are mentioning, that anything we do needs to be done correctly. We do have the testing lab also inspecting the reinforcements as our firm. So we will be doing that.
Thank you.
How many piers in total are we going to go through, Mr. Rivera? Do you know?
170,
The home site has 102.
And all of them are compromised, according to the study?
According to the study, yes, they're not per original contract documents.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You may be excused, because you want to stay.
Rivera, we have our own also documenting everything. too.
Yes, Mr. Adrian Hernandez has a binder where we have a map that indicates where each pier is. And we've labeled that section and like say home site pier, number 19. And we're taking photographs and we have on the map and everything is,
Everything that we would need for legal.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
and we're communicating almost daily with,
Okay.
with our legal department, yes. Also, I will inform the board that this past Monday, we had representatives from Sturdy Steel come visit the site, and also Mr. Michael Montalvo, who is the president and owner of Holchimont, the general contractor. They were on site for about 3/4 of the day, and they were doing their own radar scans and taking pictures also this past Monday. And they are welcome at any time to go visit the site. They just need to let us know so we can have them escorted. We don't answer any questions that they may have. Our engineers, Hinojosa, structural engineering, or the general contractors do not communicate at all with any other representatives, just to let the board know. The next few projects are PBK architectural firm projects. We have the maintenance warehouse renovation roof, and we also have the special needs program at Mission High School, the Titans 18+ program. And we have Mr. David Iglesias to present these reports and these change orders. Mr. Iglesias?
Good evening, Mr. Board President, Board of Trustees, Dr. Pettis. I'm here to give an update on the maintenance warehouse re-roof and renovation project. The project is overall completion currently about 10%. They have completed all the demolition inside. They've remediated the mold that was visible, and we are currently reviewing submittals and so forth on progress. So as soon as we get those submittals reviewed, they'll progress. We are gonna have some days that we need to present at the following board meeting regarding availability on some equipment and so forth. But they are moving along out there. Regarding the sidewalks and the canopy project for special education, the project overall is about 50% complete. We had two different types of canopies that we had designed for. We had a portion of structural steel canopy that is on the high school side by the science building. And then across the street where the portables are, we had designed for pre-engineered aluminum canopy. The steel canopy on the high school side by the science lab is complete. As of earlier this week, they finished installing the metal panels. Sidewalk's been poured, the structure's in place, and the canopy roof has been installed. That portion of the canopy is complete. The aluminum side is a different story. We have approximately 450 linear feet of sidewalk and canopy on the purple side. We did receive a letter from the contractor that the availability of the aluminum material is scarce at this point, and they don't foresee having the material available to fabricate the aluminum canopy until March of 2022. With that information, we started exploring other options because of the delay to see what we could do to try to progress the project as quickly as possible. So we have several options as far as change proposals that are being presented. Have to follow the order?
Yes, please.
So the first option is a change proposal request to, the process for this canopy system is to set the columns for the canopy and to pour the footings and the sidewalk simultaneously. In this case, since the columns are not available at this point, we had proposed the contractor to provide a cost to pour the concrete for the sidewalk. At least the sidewalks could be utilized until the canopy structure could be installed. So there are over 100 columns, and to temporarily cover each of those footings with plywood, the material and the labor, the cost for that is indicated in the change proposal, which was approximately 8,000. Was $8,716.88. So this will allow the contractor to go ahead and temporarily cover those exposed footings or the sidewalk, and the sidewalk could be used. So the canopy structure has been fabricated and they can install. So that's a temporary measure to at least utilize the sidewalk, because right now there is no sidewalk there. The formwork is already in place. The reinforcement is already in place. They just have not poured the concrete yet. That is one option.
So excuse me, the 8,700 would be for temporary use or for permanent use?
It would just be a temporary measure for the additional material and the labor to cover those exposed footings.
And once it's done, the way it's supposed to be done, those 8,000 will, I mean,
The 8,000 is gonna get spent. It's just in an effort for them to go ahead and pour the sidewalk now so that the sidewalk could be used.
But that's one option.
So it's already,
one option, okay.
it's part of it, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to understand that, it was temporarily. That's, okay, thank you.
Change proposal number 2. Need to replace the aluminum canopy with a steel canopy structure. We didn't propose this design initially because of the amount of linear footage of the canopy and the cost of steel. But we went ahead and asked the contractor to price it out to see what that option would be. And as if you can see, the cost of that is excessive as far as the steel. And so we are not recommending pursuing that option, which is a cost of $147,586. That would be in addition, a change to the contract. And it would save on some time, but there would be the $147,000 additional to be able to fabricate that canopy out of steel.
And Mr. Iglesias, and PBK is not asking for this to be approved, correct?
Correct. We are not recommending approval for this option.
Okay.
We just wanted to solicit costs to see what it would be to be able to present it to the board.
But for transparency purposes, the general contractor did submit it, so we do have to present it, just for transparency purposes.
Like options.
Correct.
Yes, but we do not recommend it.
Which one?
Because of the,
Option 2 because of the cost, 100.
Just because of the cost.
because of the,
Yeah.
okay.
For the cost.
So what is the recommendation?
We're gonna gain some time. So then we go to the third option, which is to, so the contractor was able to solicit a cost for the aluminum canopy from a different manufacturer than what was contracted originally. And so they are able to produce the aluminum material, fabricate the aluminum structure, and hopefully be installed and completed before the end of the year. So that is an option, and the cost for that would be an additional $28,700. And so that would keep the initial design, which is an aluminum canopy, and it would save on time, but it is a different manufacturer than what the contractor had bid on initially, and so there is a difference in cost, the $28,700.
Yet there's still a delay.
There's still a delay. The original contract time is for October 19th.
Yes.
So there would be additional days added, and they are forecasting being done by December 21st. of 2021 before the end of the year.
Oh, they would complete it by December?
With this option, they would be
Okay, well, that's good at least.
before the end of the year.
Yeah, because I thought you said the end of the year.
Sorry, the end of,
The calendar year.
Oh, okay,
Calendar.
yes, that's why I was concerned. Okay,
the end of,
that's better than,
Is that a long ways for the students to walk? Like if it starts November, if it starts raining and if it's.
yeah, that's why,
No,
that's,
I mean,
but if that's the best they can do.
this is being used from ESSER funds or what funds are we using?
Oh, this project started since 2 years ago, prior to the pandemic. Okay, because of the fact that, we have a lot of fragile children and they were having to cross from the
Yeah,
to the high school. So we've been working on that, and then because of the pandemic and all of that, it has been a slow process. And then the availability of materials has also gotten in the way. But December's better than 190 days.
and there is just so you're aware, there is a contingency in the project of 25,000. I guess I wouldn't recommend expending it to zero just yet, just because the project isn't complete, but there is that monies there that if not used would come back to the district. So those are the options available for the canopy for the special education. project.
thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Yes.
Maybe.
So in review, administration will be presenting at next week's regular Board of Trustees meeting, change proposal request number 1, temporary covering of footing for aluminum canopy for the Mission High School Special Education 18+ program. Change proposal number 2, request number 2, to replace the aluminum canopy with a steel canopy structure for the Mission High School Special Education 18+ program. Change proposal request number 3, to replace the aluminum canopy fender for the Mission High School Special Education 18+ program. And change order number 1 for 190 delay days for the Mission High School Special Education 18+ program.
Rick, so for the meeting, are you gonna put which one you recommend?
Yes, sir.
That's it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We did have an agenda item for the warehouse, which was to remove vehicles and other capitalized equipment from the district's general ledger and subsidiaries. If it's, we meant to pull that, so I'm not positive it's in there or not, but if it is, we're gonna pull that. We're gonna pull that. Yes, we're not ready to present on that. If I may, there's some items that we ask for permission to put on consent. Those are items 1C, 1D, 1E, and 1F. And those are the projects and proposed budgets for the scoreboards, the switchgear repair, and all other items that has to do with the rankings or any change order requests will be under discussion and possible action. And again, because they're change orders, we need that for transparency. If that's okay. Okay. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Garcia with Support Services?
Good evening, Mr. President, Madam Superintendent, and members of the board. Tonight, we have for discussion the local policy changes to the Student Code of Conduct for the 2021-2022 school year. And Mr. Jesse Trevino did work with our legal counsel to make some very minor changes to the Student Code of Conduct, and that is attached in your executive summary. As you can see in the yellow highlighted, the most significant change was to clarify between the torn or the tattered clothing. We did meet with the principals and we talked about this topic, and for this year, we want to continue to not allow the torn or the tattered clothing that exposes skin. Or of course, underwear is not allowed. It does become pretty difficult to police that, and then, the tear, eventually over time, it does start growing and so forth, so they felt that, this can stay like that. We will be working in April with our DEIC committee, so that they can review the dress code and code of conduct, and then, if any changes, come out of that through that process, then we would once again bring it back to you, next summer for revisions. The other changes were just some minor edits that David did just to clean up. For example, he removed DuckTales because he said, who in the world has DuckTales nowadays? So, other than that, those are the changes that we have. Mr. Jesse Trevino is here with us if y'all have any questions for him on that topic. Yes, ma'am.
Garcia or Mr. Trevino. When I was a teacher, we had the guidelines that the boys couldn't have the long hair. And that was the first thing that stuck out Friday night's game or Thursday night's game between Mission and Veterans.
Right.
And of course, the band was in front of us. And they're beautiful uniforms, but the hair all over the place. And so we made a big change with that.
Yes, due to the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union, dealing with civil rights, had to go that route. Okay,
Is there anything, can we add that they?
but they have to be nice and groomed. They
Is
still,
that what-
That's also an opinion.
yes, yes, it is.
That's not what we saw, right? What I
No,
saw.
we did see a lot of the boys that have gathered it in like a little bun
Yes, some
in the
did.
back.
That's
So
okay.
it's a matter of working with our students and talking about the expectations and so forth.
PC.
But also in our culture, there's a lot of promesas and different kinds of things. And then as he talked about,
Dealing with ACLU,
yes,
we just have to be in compliance. And it was, of course, legal and David Hansen looked,
exactly. And
had to do those changes.
to make sure that we're able to embrace diverse cultures and traditions.
It was based on the gender and race and religion equality. Okay.
Mr. Trevino, can you go over the jeans? What exactly is it that they can wear and can't wear?
Talking about the tattered? Okay, sometimes it gets carried away, it starts with a little torn, little tattered, then it grows and it grows. And this past week, I was at the high school, and sure enough, I saw somebody, but the principal, one of the assistants brought it up to her attention, that she had jeans in her backpack.
They know,
And
they know.
sometimes they're testing you.
Yeah, they want to see.
And again, showing skin. And again, it's always the discretion of the principal. It might be a little, you don't want to send them home, but of course, we still want to be consistent throughout the district.
Talk to them.
So they can't wear them at all, tattered at all? Not even if they wear?
Tights under? No.
Yes.
As a matter of
There's
fact,
a lot of the clothing right now, that's how it's being sold, with a little tatter here, a little tatter, and I really don't see anything wrong with it.
We talked about it,
because
we talked.
talked about it with the campus principal.
And they just felt, a little torn, it goes on and on.
I'm just giving my opinion.
Yes.
I don't have a problem with
And,
little tatter here and there.
and I,
Meet again?
we gave our opinions as well. And the echo was, we try to take care of dress code violations before classes start. As soon as the children arrive, we start talking to them, working with them. And then, because we don't want something like that to become an issue where the teachers are having to police that and spend time on that rather than on instruction. So we did have a lengthy conversation with them. And we talked about, times have changed and personally, I got a lot of calls too from my relatives saying, we can't find this, we can't find that. So I was calling Ms. Garcia and different people that, that have children on our staff, where can they get them? And they were telling me Old Navy, JCPenney, here or there. And eventually they did find, what was needed. But we will continue to have this type of conversations with our DEIC.
They are pants, they still sell pants without the torn. You're right.
Yeah, I know they do, but even I wear them.
But no,
Of course, I can understand that we have to have respect at the school, but I'm just saying, there is some nice jeans that do have a little bit of tethering, and I don't see a problem with that. But I respect and I understand. I just wanted to give my opinion.
No, and again, a lot of the stores, a lot of the pans.
And that was just, that was the consensus administrators at our campuses. So we're going with that. However, we are going to take it to the full process next school year, this school year, and it'll go through our district educational and improvement committee and get feedback from them. The representatives go back to their colleagues and they get feedback, and they'll bring it and present that, and then we'll take it from there. We'll take the whole process through it. Because, we do know that times have changed. And I know a particular principal told us, if that's what they purchased, this particular principal said, she asked the young girls, wear leggings while your parents purchase what you need. So they have been very accommodating. We know there's been, supply has been limited, especially with uniforms in the elementary and even, clothes in general. Some of us have not been able to find shoes, okay? Because people were not working. So our principals are being very understanding, very sensitive to the needs of our families. And so they're working with our students. They always do.
Okay, any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trevino.
Thank you.
Item B, we have some recommendations for possible positions for the next 2 board meetings. The ESSER-3 grant funded social worker, the risk management and benefits accountant, testing coordinator, and the licensed specialist in school psychology, 2 vacancies. And then item C, we will be having some additional T-test appraisers to bring to you next week. And then item D is the Homebound teacher stipend. As Dr. Bettis previously mentioned, due to the pandemic, there has to be some changes that need to be made to our Homebound procedures. For example, Homebound teachers are, of course, having to go into the home, and there are some challenges that presents. They have to keep up with testing on a daily basis, make sure that
COVID testing.
there's COVID testing, that they're safe in that environment, protecting the staff as well as protecting the student and the family. So because of those challenges, it will become difficult not only to keep the staff that we have, to retain them, but also to recruit, because we have seen a need to increase the amount of homebound teachers that the district employs. So we are proposing a $3,000 stipend for the year, $1,500 in the fall and $1,500 in the spring. So we would like to bring that recommendation forward next week for your approval.
And when the board approved the salary scales, we did add a $3,000 stipend. And I did tell you that anytime we would add that $3,000 stipend that you approved, that we would bring it to your attention and bring it back for your approval. So we believe that our homebound teachers really need this stipend because of everything that they're doing and going into the homes. They must provide 4 hours of instruction for each student that they serve. And more than likely, they will serve about 8 students a week. And it's continuous. Then also, as you are aware, through 504 or ARD meetings, if the children are immunocompromised, we are providing the virtual instruction. So that is why we have advertised for additional homebound teachers, because we want to provide that service to our children. Received a call, earlier in the year from a mother whose child has Down syndrome and has heart issues. We know that many of our children with special needs also have other highly at-risk illnesses as per the CDC. So naturally, the parents want to protect them. We also have children that are 504 because they have severe asthma or they may have diabetes. And so those highly at-risk illnesses that the CDC has identified, those are the students that would qualify for 504, under the umbrella of 504, for homebound services. But that means that a certified teacher must go into the home, and the parents must accept that to provide 4 hours of instruction. However, these children under the 504 umbrella can also receive virtual instruction aside from those 4 hours, because their medical condition does not impede them not to continue to receive instruction. So there's a difference. The typical homebound that we've known in the past, for children that are very fragile, cannot come to school, they might be going through chemotherapy and so forth. So for them, they really can't come and sit, or even at home, sit for a prolonged time. So that's why we offer the 4 hours. But for these other children, it would be different. We can provide more instruction, and it can be done virtually, and depending on the need, the number of hours.
How many teachers do we have right now, homebound teachers?
We have 4.
We're in the process of trying to hire about
10?
10.
Okay, but how many we have right now?
We have 4 in special education and 2 in general education. But I know that our numbers are higher, and we're looking at about 80 students actually going to be homebound services. So probably Mrs. Christie's here, we were speaking about it earlier today, so I think it's probably gonna be about, we need to hire about 10 more. Our numbers keep going up in the section 504 special.
You say 80 are the
80.
numbers?
It's
80
that's what we have right now, is they're still doing committee meetings and things like that.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr.
And later on during the board update, during the meeting, I'll give you an update on the new bill that's coming up on that.
Thank you. Item E is first reading of changes to locally developed and TASB-initiated localized policies, including update 117. And we have some customized changes that were done in conjunction with working with Mr. David Hanson, as well as the different departments that it impacts and the ELT. And Mr. Burley's gonna provide us a summary on those updates. I just told him that because since he didn't get to talk last time, so. I can take this one.
Dying to come up.
Oh.
Put him to work.
She just wants to see how well I can improvise, that's all.
You've been ready for a long time.
But like Ms. Garcia did say, all this does get vetted through David Hanson before we, bring anything for you on. Staff takes a look anytime he does have issues to make sure that what he's recommending still jives with what our thinking is on a lot of it. And basically the items CH local and CV local are just some very minor wording changes. They are indicated in your packet. The big one is DEC local. What we're wanting to do basically is pretty much keep in place what we have already. That is legal counsel's recommendation. We do have a lot of very specialized language in that is very specific to how this district operates. And it would be in our best interest to keep all of that language in place. And those are basically the items that are being brought forward in those 3 policies. For FFAC local, it's basically just cleaning up a little bit of language again after the board had adopted FFAC local in earlier this year. TASB noticed a couple of things that they wanted us to go back and take another look at to kind of bring our 2 sets of languages together, and that's all we're really doing there. We're not addressing anything substantive, more about cleaning up some of the language so that we're kind of working better with TASB in those respects, and David Hanson is okay with those. We kind of went back and forth a couple of times before we came upon the language that he was comfortable with. So I'll bring this forward on the consent agenda next week for first reading, and then adoption and second reading would be next month.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
That concludes the board services section, unless there are any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. Moving on to Finance Committee and Mr. Joel Garcia. Yes.
Good evening, Board President Zamora, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Perez, and members of the audience. Item 1, presentation to the board. Hidalgo County, the Hidalgo County Annual Tax Report for fiscal year 2020-2021. This item will be presented by the Hidalgo County Tax Assessor, Collector, Mr. Paul Villarreal. That presentation will take place next week on the September 8th regular board meeting. The next item is the Annual Delinquent Tax Collection Report for fiscal year 2020-2021. This item will be presented by Ms. Kelly Salazar with Lineberger, Goggin, Blair, the district's tax attorney, and that presentation will also take place next week on September 8th. Item 2, items for discussion. The first item, letter A, adoption of the ordinance for the 2020-2021 school tax rate. So this item is a tax rate so that the district can collect taxes for the school year that we just started, 21-22. House Bill 3 was signed into law on June 11, 2019 by Governor Greg Abbott. House Bill 3 requires school districts to reduce the maintenance and operations tax rate in accordance with the Education Code and Tax Code. On August 5th, TA published the M&O maximum tax rate that the district may adopt without a voter election. The new proposed M&O rate is 0.9719 rate per $100 valuation and 0.1613 rate per $100 valuation for debt service, bringing the district's total tax rate to 1.1332 per $100 valuation, which is 0.0661 less than last year. So with the tax reform, as property values grow in our district, we're required to reduce the tax rate. All the information was submitted to the Texas Education Agency. TE then publishes the maximum rates that the district may adopt. So next week, we will bring this agenda item for your consideration. Next item is recommendation of bids, proposals, and purchases of $50,000 and over. The first one, I'm going to go through these. I kind of wanted to respectfully request if we can pull item number 12. The award contract for student desk shields, we're not ready for that item at this time. And then item number 19, the award of the touchless water fountains. That item was going to be presented later today at the special board meeting, but we haven't received all the quotes just yet.
So you're pulling that item also?
Yes. That one, we were hoping, we'd like to present next week.
Oh,
Give the vendors a little bit more time to provide the quotes.
For both items?
For number 19 only.
And what about for, are we pulling 12?
no, not yet.
For number 12, what we want to do, what happened was the specifications for the shields were not what they needed to be. What we noticed was that some of the shields that were ordered actually had a border, really pretty because they had the logo, the Mission CISD logo, but what we saw in practice this year was that it was obstructing the students' view. They couldn't see the smart board and so forth. So again, we're taking that into consideration, with the feedback we got from the teachers, the executive directors. We decided to go ahead and rebid those desk shields so that we can get the clear ones that are a lot sturdier, they have better legs, better foldability, and just a lot sturdier, very clear plastic protection.
Thank you.
However, we did order enough for the students to have for this.
Correct. So the students, there were some desk shields already available from last year, and then there were already desk shields being purchased earlier this year in smaller amounts. And most recently, we got 5,600 really good desk shields for our elementary students.
So it'll still be presented next week, number 19, right?
Yes.
Correct. Yes, sir.
It's just today.
Yes, sir.
And then 12, what is the timeline for?
I'm working with purchasing, so Ms. Dora Garcia is here. We're gonna go ahead and repost the bid. Typically, that process takes about 3 weeks before we get responses. So we'll get it moved as quickly as possible. And based on your recommendation, Dr. Perez, if you feel we need to have a special board meeting, we may have to do that.
Yes. Oh, but the important thing is that students won't be without.
Correct.
Okay, so they're not without right now.
They're not without. We have a surplus.
So how many are you ordering?
Well, recently we bought 5,600 for the elementary students, right? The bid is for 15,000. We anticipate that some of these, again, students, sometimes there's situations where they break or, they get smudged and they can't be repaired. And so the RFP, the proposal is going to be, the solicitation is going to be for 15,000 desk shields.
And the thing is that those other ones will still be used if they're in good shape, because they can be used in cafeterias. The issue is that with a lot of our students, that border is obstructing the view to the teacher or to the smart board. So that's why we do need to replace them.
How is the shield? Because I've heard from teachers from several schools that they're real flimsy.
Yes.
In some instances, yes. The ones we got last year, and those are the ones that I believe we're going to be, go ahead.
I'm sure we can go and get one from a classroom.
I was just asking, is it the same type of structure?
Rivera, can you go get one from a classroom so you can see it? It does have what is that board called? That has the foam in. Corrugated, okay, and then it's not, the film is not necessarily flimsy because it has that corrugated board, okay? But there's a variety out there, but what we purchased is pretty sturdy. Some of the classrooms, you'll see that the teachers have taped them or hot glued them so that they don't fall. Okay, I mean, the other day, my own child had his on the side of the desk, okay? Because I can't see,
Yeah.
But the important thing is they're wearing masks and children that, with special needs, we provide the face shields as well. But we do need to replace them because we don't want kids to have to be straining to see the teacher and so forth.
The 5,600 that we just ordered, Dr. Bettis.
Those were the clear.
Are very big. They're
Yes.
very sturdy, plus they have little pads.
The little feet,
And they're real sturdy. I mean, some of the others, they're just a cardboard.
yeah,
Now they stand that way. These actually have like little stands
yeah.
throughout the board so that they stand a little bit.
Well, and like, for example, some of the principals have purchased from Amazon, those little stick-ons to set them up. You want to show them?
So I'm going to go ahead and just. And if you notice, I think I see tape at the bottom. Or I think
Yes, because they take them, but they're pretty sturdy.
They are.
But as a child, I think the concern was that.
They couldn't see at the top.
Obstructing, yes.
Yes. Now, another thing that as we were doing some walkthroughs in some of the campuses is that, how your phones, when you purchase a phone or a computer, they have a film?
Yeah.
Well, these come with a film and they had not been removed. And you know that our classrooms have been e-misted so many times. So that's why a lot of the kids couldn't see. So we said, okay, what can we do? And I told them, just spray water or Windex. And they said that. They told the kid, okay, let's have a water party. And they stripped and took off that film, and then the kids were able to see through much better. But the new ones are going to be standing, and they're going to be a lot sturdier. And we did receive samples, requested samples of what was available out there.
That one looks nice, the
Yeah, that's the one that we have been purchasing.
So were those just for elementaries? or
No,
for the
those were for all grade levels. Those were for all
But
grade
the ones
levels.
that are having problems with it are the elementary students or what?
Mostly the elementary students.
So the ones at
No,
schools
because-
and high schools, they can continue using them.
Oh, yes, and they're gonna use them in the cafeterias, in the libraries. They'll still use them until wear and tear will dictate.
They're pretty sturdy to me.
Yes, but when kids touch them, there's wear and tear.
Okay.
Thank you. So I'm going to move on with item number 1, the award contract for restaurants and catering services. And I'm going to just go down the list. All the backup is attached to the agenda, so if there's any questions, please let me know. The next item that we're going to present next week for approval is the award contract for custodial supplies. The next one is the contract for building material and lumber. The next one is the electrical equipment and supplies. The next one is the plumbing equipment and supplies. Number 6 is AC equipment and supplies. Number 7 is painting equipment and supplies. Number 8 is flooring equipment and supplies. Number 9 is welding equipment and supplies. Number 10 is industrial equipment, tools and supplies. Number 11 is the TELPA's online practice software. Number 12, we talked about pooling this time. Number 13 is the contract for charter bus services. Number 14 is the contract for event rental services. Number 15 is the purchase of the pre-K digital online learning software. And number 16, 17, and 18, we will take to the special board meeting later this evening. 16 is the contract for the fleet school buses. Number 17 is the purchase of the cooling fans. Number 18 is the purchase of the picnic tables. And number 19, we talked about bringing to the regular board meeting next week. Does anybody have any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, then we'll be taking items 1 through 11 and 13 through 15 for approval next week.
Okay, and Mr. Garcia, in terms of the purchase of touchless water fountains, not necessarily for the campuses have what they need.
Yeah, there's still a few needs at the campuses. We did install the 190, I believe it was 192 touchless water fountains before school started. So again, the maintenance, the plumbing team did a phenomenal job of getting those.
Add on.
Yes, these are some additional water fountains that we want to add in other buildings. Some of the larger campuses like Mission High School, and they're, in the, some of the other buildings like the Kate Building, some of the older gym, we want to have some fountains in those locations as well.
And district facilities.
And district facilities, right? So central office, the different departments.
Thank you for the clarification.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wanted the board to know that we do have what the children need at this time, but we just want to enhance.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and move to item letter C. Authorized purchases from district approved by board purchasing cooperative. So on August 11th, the board approved a request to authorize administration to make purchases up to $500,000 from district approved purchasing cooperatives. One of the things that we've seen recently is that if you're familiar with the co-ops, buy board is the most popular one where a lot of vendors are on. So the district, quickly started getting close to the threshold of 500,000. So what we are recommending is to increase the threshold for buy board by an additional 500,000. So we'll be bringing that item next week for approval. The letter D, unemployment compensation program with Texas Association of School Boards. Go to that one. So again, the district has entered into partnership with the Texas Association of School Boards, TASB, to handle all the unemployment claims. This is just a renewal. What we pay annually is $129,214. So we'll be taking a recommendation at the Board of Trustees next week for approval. The next item, letter E, is the amended resolution stating the annual review of the investment policy and investment strategy, CD8 local. What we're proposing amending the resolution to include both Ms. Lorena Garcia and myself as investment officers. So we're just going to look at updating section 4 of the resolution. We'll be taking that, we'll be bringing it for approval at the Board of Trustees meeting next week as well. Letter F, donation. So the district did receive donations of $17,000 to benefit our students. We will bring for your approval, again, also next week, the donations. The next items are informational. So letter A, tax levy adjustments for the month of July 2021. So the Hidalgo County Assessor and Collector has been collecting the district's taxes since December of 1999. Both current and delinquent taxes are collected by Hidalgo County on our behalf. The collections totaled $413,962.32. The monthly fee for this service is $6,271. So the local maintenance levy modification was a decrease of $24,193. The debt service levy modification was a decrease of $2,924, about 74 cents. The next informational item are the cash disbursements for the month of July 2021. So the district dispersed $10,200,055,716.80. This came from disbursements in accounts payable, vendor checks, district purchasing cards, ACH, wire transfers, and payroll. The next item is the memorandum of understanding between the City of Mission Sherry Golf Course and Mission CISD and golf storage agreement. So this is just an agreement so that we can have students use the golf course facility and use their storage. The next item is the interlocal agreement between the City of Mission Girls Club and Mission CISD for youth programs. This is for arts and crafts and those type of activities at Leal Elementary and Castro Elementary. So the interlocal agreement again was signed. The next item, item E, was the one that Dr. Roberts presented. It was the agreement for the Boys and Girls Club Activities Program. And again, that's been, it's still, there were a few changes that we received today, so that's being reviewed by legal. And I know that we had one more item. Let me make sure we have it here. This one, Dr. Perez, if it's okay to.
Yes. Okay.
So an item that wasn't listed on the agenda was it's an annual renewal for some software titled the Reading Renaissance Accelerated Reader Program. And we are asking again recommend the approval next week for the purchase of that program.
Like to add it to the agenda. It was brought to our attention that it's coming up for renewal. And you know how much our teaching staff utilize it and a lot of our parents and students.
Mr. Garcia, I had a quick question.
Yes, sir.
This is on number 2 under letter C. I just wanted clarification. You mentioned on the board. So and I may have missed it and you may have about that. So basically you're saying that you want 500 us to approve, you want the $500,000 threshold?
So right now, the threshold is set at 500,000. We're asking if that threshold can be increased on the buy board co-op, an additional 500,000, to a total of $1 million.
And can you talk about why, all the items that we have purchased, we've already exhausted it. So the items that we have purchased because of the pandemic have been?
Yeah, so like the desk shields, any COVID-related emergency type of expenses is why we're asking.
Okay, go ahead, the classroom.
The e-misters, the sanitation supplies. What has happened is that in the summer, we pretty much exhausted that 500,000 in 2 months because, well, of course, it's difficult to bring those items quickly to the board because we didn't have a board meeting in July. But what we want to do is, like the way we're bringing the desk shields to the board, that's going to be a substantial purchase. That is also through a co-op as well as the tables, the picnic tables. If they're large purchases and we have the time to bring it to the board, we'd like to do that and then reserve this approval only for the small little purchases and the emergency type.
Like the fans.
The cooling fans, that's another one that we could have just already bought. Or the picnic tables, as you know, we've got our kids that are eating on the food trucks area and not all of the campuses have enough picnic tables. So we could have already purchased them had we not exceeded that 500,000.
And
I just want a clarification. Thank you.
Yes, and the same thing with the fans. So.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. Mr. Garcia. You're welcome.
So I'd like to respectfully ask if we can add some of the items to consent agenda for next week. Items in number 2, item B, numbers 1 through 11 and 13 through 15. And then items C, D, E, and F.
Okay.
Oh, my apologies. I wanted to see if we can add, actually, number 2 is actually going to be at the special board meeting this evening. The one for buy board, increasing the buy board threshold, I think because of the urgency of the equipment, of the picnic tables and the cooling fans. That'll be at the special board meeting later this evening.
Yes. Okay.
Does anyone have any other questions? No, thank you all. Y'all have a good evening.
Likewise.
May I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Actually, we're in a board workshop.
Oh, yeah, we don't.
Oh, so we don't
You
need to do that?
vote.
Don't need to
The adjourn.
Oh, well, then we adjourn this meeting at 8:41.
workshop.
Let's take a quick break.
Yes.
And serve some food.
Oh, boy.
Have Roy Vela, Betty Mendoza, Coach Iris Iglesias, and Mr. Juan Gonzalez, and myself. We stand and do the pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America.
and to the republic
Republic for which stands one
my nation,
under God,
indivisible,
liberty and justice
for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, God, one and indivisible. If we can have a moment of silence, please. I think we're gonna play a video in remembrance of the 13 US service members killed in a couple airport attacks.
It's just the slide. And you can read them.
US servicemen killed were Staff Sergeant Darren T. Hoover, 31 years old. Sergeant Joanna Rosario Pritchard, 25 years old. Sergeant Nicole L. Yee, 23 years old. Corporal Hunter Lopez, 22 years old. Corporal Deegan W. Page, 23 years old. Corporal Humberto A. Sanchez, 22 years old. Lance Corporal David L. Espinosa, 20 years old. Lance Corporal Jared M. Schmidt, 20 years old. Lance Corporal Rayleigh J. McCullum, 20 years old. Lance Corporal Dylan R. Marola, 20 years old. And Lance Corporal Kareem M. I'm sorry if I, Nicole, 20 years old. Navy Corpsman Maxton W. Slavic, 22 years old, and Army Staff Sergeant Ryan C. Nings, 23 years old. And we pray for them and their families.
Amen.
Thank you. Are there any public comments?
No, no public comments.
Superintendent updates and recognition?
Yes, sir. For the superintendent's update, we'd like to provide some remote conference data. And remote conference is allowed for students that are either COVID-19 positive or students that might have been exposed in a classroom or in a school situation, and the parents have chosen to keep the children at home. And As of now, for pre-K 3, we have 16 students in the district. Pre-K 4, 26 students. Kinder, 56 students. First grade, 69. Second grade, 14. Third grade, 93. Fourth grade, 49. Fifth grade, 59. Sixth grade, 85. Seventh grade, 35. Eighth grade, 30. Ninth grade, 22. 10th grade, 26. 11th grade, 19. 12th grade, 23. So if you think of pre-K 3, pre-K 4, there's a total of 42 students. From kinder to second grade, a total of 139. Third through fifth, 201. Sixth through eighth grade, 150. And ninth through 12, 90 students. And as you can see, at the high school level, we have a lot less students, and why? There is a vaccine. Total count as of September 1st, 2021, we have 622 students receiving remote instruction. Also, yes.
And for the remote instruction is how many days? How many days?
The remote instruction, the Texas Education Agency allows up to 20 days. Up to 20 days. However, it's for the whole year. So the recommendation is really 10 days, no more than 10 days. That's what we try to recommend, especially if the children are positive and once they test negative. And we're seeing that the children are coming back. And there's a lot of parents that have received the notice and have decided to just allow the children to continue with in-person instruction. And however, now with the COVID testing that we've got in place, that's going to be very helpful too. Also, we did receive some information from legal counsel, which we had already been seeing the information that is occurring with the second legislative session regarding Senate Bill 15 on remote instruction or virtual instruction. So Senate Bill 15 was sent to the governor last night. And it is believed that it will be signed soon by the governor. And so legal counsel just wanted to give us a heads up. So once the governor does approve Senate Bill 15, TA will follow with guidance. And what the bill reads is that a school district may offer virtual instruction if the school district has an overall performance rating of C or higher in their LEST rating. And of course, we had a very high B. Districts cannot enroll more than 10% of their local 2021-22 student enrollment in virtual programs. No more than 10%. So right now, Dr. Roberts, we have about 13,000?
As of yesterday, we had 13,067 students.
13,067. So we had 13,067, it would be about 1,300 students, okay? But
Already have 600.
these 600 are really aside because these students are because they're temporary.
Okay.
Simply because these students were either positive or exposed. Okay?
Thank you.
So this is aside, the 20 days. This is for, and I will, remember those students that may need longer term because of high risk
Correct.
illnesses? That's what this is about. So districts cannot enroll more than 10% of their total 21-22 student enrollment in virtual programs unless there's a public health emergency or the district submits an application. Now they put that language in the bill. The number includes students who spent at least half of their instructional time during 21-22 or 22-23 school year in virtual courses because the student was medically fragile, placed in virtual learning due to ARD, special ed, or a 504. So these are for our fragile students. The virtual learning program must include at least one grade level in which an assessment instrument is required to be administered, including each subject for which an assessment instrument is required. So we must provide it for all grade levels, but specifically also if there's an assessment. And be a complete high school program, including each course for which an end of course assessment instrument is required to be administered. We must offer the option for parent to select in-person instruction for all students. If the district offers virtual learning for special ed students, the courses must meet the needs of the student under IDEA. And that's the Individual with Disability Educational Act. Student eligibility for virtual learning. They must have passed all STAR exams the previous year. If the student did not take STAR exam, then an assessment designed to show grade level proficiency takes. So, and right now we've been administering beginning of year assessments, so we would have data. Must have earned, these are the students, must have earned a C or higher in their foundation curriculum courses taken virtually during last school year. These learning programs may be synchronous, which means live, asynchronous, on their own, or a combination, and the teacher can be teaching simultaneously face-to-face students and students online. Remember, with the one for Homebound, they're not letting us do that. But for this one, with Senate Bill 15, they will allow that. And I can see the benefit because the student is getting familiar with their own teacher. If a student is in virtual learning and has 10 or more unexcused absences in 6 months, then they cannot be counted for average daily attendance. Students, but you see, at all for the year, just because they're out 10 days. So students must still have access to extracurricular activities, in-person services, and any special services required by state or federal law, such as special education. So this is just a summary. And as soon as the governor signs it, I'm sure that the Texas Education Agency will clarify and provide next steps. Another item that we wanted to continue to recognize our school board, there was an article in the Progress Times, and our school board was featured, if I may borrow yours, for having earned Board of the Year. And so today we're presenting this token of appreciation to our school board, and we've got it framed, so you can have that.
Thank you, Dr. Pitt.
Thank you.
If you. And that's it for the board update. And we will continue on with discussion and possible action. And recommendation and approval of the selection for Ms. Garcia. What items do we have for tonight?
We would like to consider these items in executive session, the ESER 3 grant funded social worker, as well as the testing coordinator, item B and D. We would like to bring back next week.
B and D.
B and D, okay. Okay, item number 2, Mr. Garcia. And 3.
Good evening again, everyone. So item number 2, authorized purchases from district-approved by board purchasing cooperative. Administration recommends to increase to 1 million beginning September through the end of the school year, not to exceed $1 million from the district-approved by board purchasing cooperative.
I so move.
Second.
Motion made by Minnie Rogers, second by Roy Vela. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it, 7-0.
Thank you. Item number 3 is recommendation and approval of bids, proposals, and purchases over 50,000 and over. Letter A, contract for fleet school buses. Administration recommends awarding the contract to Longhorn Bus Sales.
And how many buses can you?
Yes, it's 14 buses, and the estimated expenditure is $1,496,880.
And they're all,
And they're all air conditioned and everything like that, right?
And these are through the ESSER funds.
Correct, yes.
How many buses did you say?
14.
14?
Petra made the
I so move.
Ms. Smith,
Second.
the motion.
Yes.
Mr. Juan Gonzalez seconded. All those in favor?
Because we did the switch.
Aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it, 7-0.
Just want to clarify, remember that what we did the switch with the ESSER?
Yes.
Letter B, award purchase of cooling fans. So we want to award the purchase of the cooling fans. The estimated cost is $89,960, and it's for 40 Jetstream 250 cooling fans. Those are also being purchased through ESSER funds.
And they're the misting fans that we want to use with the picnic tables so the children are able to eat outdoors.
Outside.
So move.
I did have just a quick comment on that one. The lowest bidder did contact us today that they didn't have any more fans, so we went with the second lowest bidder. And so I do have the backup documentation. Let me pass that out.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you for letting us know.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Already turned in a bid.
Yes, yes. Supply and demand with a lot of these. How much more are we having to pay?
Yeah. That was my question.
So,
And six.
yes, so it's about 79, the lowest price was 79,000 originally, and so this one is 89,960.
Okay, a motion was made by Betty Mendoza, seconded by Mrs. Petra Ramirez. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it, 7-0.
Great. And the last item, letter D, was the touchless water pumps. And again, as we spoke in the workshop, we're going to be bringing that back at next week's regular Board of Trustees meeting.
And the picnic tables?
Oh, I'm sorry.
See?
Letter C, award of purchase picnic tables.
The fans, we need the tables.
Yes, my apologies. So they awarded the purchase picnic tables. Administration recommends awarding the contract to Craftsman for the estimated expenditure of $375,000. This includes 81 rectangular tables, 228 round tables. We did get 284 umbrellas because there were a few campuses that did have some round tables but didn't have umbrellas, so we're buying a few extra umbrellas.
Good.
So administration recommends awarding the contract to Craftsman.
I so move.
I second.
You know, and a lot of these picnic tables, they're not only going to be used for eating. You know, as recommended by the CDC, you know, we want our staff to be able to take the children outside and have lessons outdoors as well. You know,
When the weather changed.
absolutely. Whether, and then with the fans, it'll be very helpful
Yes.
too.
Thank you.
A motion was made by Ms. Petra Ramirez, seconded by Roy Vela. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it, 7-0. We're gonna go to executive session.
Executive session.
Okay,
Here now.
we'll be going to executive session, private consultation with board attorney.
9:20.
It is 9:20, and in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, the board may enter into a closed meeting to deliberate any item that is listed above. that fits within the exception listed in subchapter D. Any final action, decision, or vote, subject deliberated in closed meeting, will be taken in an open meeting held in compliance with the Texas Open Meeting Act. Now in executive session.
Okay, well, let's.
And for recommendations and approval of the selection for ESSER 3 grant-funded social worker, the administration would like to recommend Priscilla Gomez.
I move that, I so move.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Ms. Petra,
No,
Okay, that's all right.
oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Ms. Minnie Rogers,
it's okay.
made the motion and seconded by Juan Gonzalez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? 7-0. Ayes have it.
Ahí estás.
Okay, the next position is testing coordinator. The administration would like for the Board of Trustees to approve Diane Whittinger.
I so move.
Second.
Okay, I think it was Minnie Rogers again made the motion. And there were so many.
One.
But second by Juan Gonzalez.
By who?
One.
Juan, it's because there was a lot. I couldn't hear. That's the last one I heard.
Okay, we all go,
Okay.
Approved.
nobody's
All
perfect.
those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? 7-0. Ayes have it.
Now, important dates to remember. September 8, 2021, regular Board of Trustees meeting at 6:30 PM. And we are going to try to have the board meeting at our new Mission CISD annex. And we'd like to congratulate the staff because they have already received the certificate of occupancy. Thank you for Mr. Rivera. October 6, 2021, Board of Trustees Board Workshop at 6:30 PM. October 20, 2021, regular Board of Trustees meeting at 6:30 PM. And that's all we have.
Jerry, can I say something?
Absolutely.
I'd like to really, since the beginning of the meeting, I wanted to, I've been, well, social media and everything. I'd really like to thank our staff, especially maintenance, for working all night that night that you all did. You did an outstanding job. I mean, the food, it was like everything in spite, we don't have a perfect district, but I've done calls from other people, from other board members in other districts of, what is it that you all are doing? You know, we have COVID cases like everybody. Let me tell you, from the superintendent to our maintenance to, I mean, every single worker, the teachers have been phenomenal. Principals and everybody that's been through this 2 weeks, it's been great.
Yes.
And really, I think that all of the board members agree with me that, you know, we can't say thank you enough for all the hours. And I know that you put so many hours because I live right here and I'm watching you, okay? No, I'm not. But I see your cars early morning, late night. I mean, just like little bees coming in and out, you know, of the hive. And it's just phenomenal what you all do for our district. And I think that's why we are Mission CISD, we're all united.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a great culture, I have to say.
Well, I wanted you to know that, you know, as I advised you early in the, well, actually it was Sunday night, that we received a call that there was a water leak, a huge water leak at Cantu Elementary on the east side. And the neighbors reported it. And then the Alton, Works was out there, Mr. Castañeda, Mr. Rivera, the staff, after 2 o'clock in the morning. Prior to that, we strategized with 3 of our campus principals and the Cantu Elementary principal as to how we would be dividing the grade levels and so forth. And okay, the principals were amazing. Don't worry, we'll work with our custodians, and we will have classrooms ready for the students. And it's just beautiful that there's no barrier. And then from the maintenance, our plumbers, Mr. Castañeda, Mr. Rivera, they're the role models, being out there, working side by side with them. And, that night I felt like, what can we do? And we told the staff, we will advise you early in the morning, whether we go with this plan or not. We also had child nutrition program, on call. And so we had our plan of action. And even Mr. Rivera said it was a great exercise. We're glad that we didn't have to put the plan in place. Now, had it been a non-COVID year, we could have sent the whole campus to a high school gymnasium, because we have several gyms or so forth. But because of physical distancing, we would have had to farm out the different classrooms. But Ms. Garcia's office sent pan dulce and coffee to our plumbers. My office, we sent a botana to our plumbing staff and their supervisors. And it was just a little token of appreciation. And I really wanted them to go home and sleep, but guess what? There was another leak somewhere else. But still, I kept saying they need to go home and rest and sleep. But strong ISD family.
And they've been around a long time.
Yes. So we've got a great team, and it's a total team effort from the administration to every single individual at every single position. People work from their heart for our children's behalf.
Amen.
Damn.
First COVID stipend is being paid this Friday, correct?
As a matter of fact, Wednesday.
Will be direct deposit. This Friday is the deadline for you to start, so you can qualify.
Okay.
So that, yes.
Pay on Wednesday.
The what?
And that's why we,
Next Wednesday.
Be hired.
yes,
So many.
they must be hired by September 3rd, okay? So that's why we needed to approve these 2 positions, because these require board approval. So that's one of the reasons why we decided to put the special board meeting. And then we took advantage when we saw we had exhausted the by-board bids and put those other items as well. But in terms of teaching positions and other positions, some of them are just pending fingerprinting, things like that. But the staff has been working around that and letting people know they can go to other places, expedite that. So next week on Wednesday, every single Mission CISD staff member will receive the $1,000 stipend that the board approved. As we can.
Bingo.
Go to bingo. Or lunch invitations or anything like that.
And dulce, I
Hey, do I have a motion to adjourn?
second.
Motion was made by Ramirez, and seconded by Roy Vela. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
7-0. It is 9:45, meeting adjourned.
Betty wants us. Jerry? Yes and no.
And a beautiful frame.